Let's say I ask 10 to 50 questions of ChatGPT. The hugely popular chatbot would need to gulp about 500 millilitres of water to provide me with the answers. That's roughly the amount in this standard bottle of water. Hundreds of millions of users then, all submitting prompts, quickly shows just how thirsty artificial intelligence can be. It's little-known details like this that help to shine a light on big tech's water footprint, an often overlooked issue, but one that is increasingly coming under public scrutiny as global demand for AI gathers pace. In July of 2023, for example, protesters took to the streets of Uruguay's capital city to demonstrate against Google's plan to build a data center. The proposal sought to use vast quantities of water at a time when the South American country was suffering its worst drought in 74 years. Xiaolei Ren, a researcher at the University of California, recently published a paper looking at the resources needed to power AI models, as well as what can be done to try to quench the thirst of this juggernaut.
In general, the public is getting more knowledgeable and aware of the water issue. If they learn that the big techs are taking away their water resources and they're not getting enough water, nobody will like it. I think we're going to see more clashes over the water usage in the coming years as well. So this type of risks will have to be taken care of by the companies.
In just the last few months, tech giants deeply involved with AI research have reported a massive jump in their water consumption. Researchers say that AI is partly to blame, as companies use millions of litres of water to keep temperatures in check at their data centres. It's easy to think of the internet as something that's intangible, but whether it's asking questions of ChatGPT or logging in to check your emails, the computing power needed to keep these websites running relies on a lot of water. Microsoft disclosed in its latest environmental sustainability report that its global water use rose by more than a third from 2021 to 2022, climbing to nearly 1.7 billion gallons. For Google, total water consumption at its data centers and offices came in at 5.6 billion gallons in 2022, a 21% increase on the year before. It means that Microsoft's annual water use was the equivalent to more than 2,500 Olympic-sized swimming pools, while for Google, this would be enough water to fill nearly 8,500 pools. Both companies are working to reduce their water footprint and become water positive by the end of the decade, meaning they aim to replenish more water than they use. It's notable, however, that their latest water consumption figures were disclosed before the launch of their own respective ChatGPT competitors. The computing power needed to run Microsoft's Bing Chat and Google Bard could mean more water usage over the coming months. Water scarcity is a big problem on every continent, and one that's being exacerbated by the climate crisis. Here in Dubai, a region where the heat is extreme and water is precious, policymakers and business leaders are gathering at COP28 to discuss what more can be done.
What really needs is to be in place is an international governance body that can regulate, and that is what COP is to a certain extent, a global governance institution that tries to regulate, that tries to monitor complex problems. One subset of that complex problem is AI, which is at the moment in a very transient phase. It's an inflection moment for AI, so it could go either way, and it's very important that we govern that direction to be less energy intensive and more within planetary boundaries.
Data centers are part of the lifeblood of big tech, and a lot of water is required to keep them running smoothly. For Meta, it's these data centers that generate not only the highest percentage of its water use, but also the lion's share of its energy use and greenhouse gas emissions. Rows upon rows of computing servers in hubs the size of warehouses work to store and transfer all our digital information, with almost all this energy then converted into heat. Companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft all use various cooling systems to prevent their servers from overheating. One common method involves the use of cooling towers. This heat rejection device works like a giant air conditioner, typically using water in an evaporation process to expel building heat into the atmosphere. Another technique often used is outside air cooling, or free cooling. This system takes the outside air, which has a lower temperature than inside the building, to directly cool down the servers. This process can work without the need for cooling towers, but water evaporation is still needed when the outside air is too hot, often at the height of summer when people use water the most and drought is at its worst. Basing data centers in cooler climates is one way to get this free cooling, but at present only a fraction of them are currently housed in colder environments. The US, by a long way, operates far more data centers than any other country, with more than 5,300. That's 10 times more than second-place Germany. Anne Skeet, Senior Director of Leadership Ethics at the Markula Center for Applied Ethics, says tech companies will need to be a little more judicious on AI if they are to meet their environmental goals.
I think we are going to see some activity from regulators. There's already some increased requirements coming in the new year for companies to disclose their water usage in the European Union. And I think that requirement is a necessary one for people to start to appreciate the issue and think about their own choices in it. They may have to become a little more heavy-handed in terms of what they're asking companies to do, and even think about placing certain limitations on companies if we don't see either market forces or innovation contribute to bringing the use of water down.
AI is one of the most prominent and fastest growing workloads in data centers, which means big tech is likely to need a lot more of this precious resource. In fact, the computing power required for AI is estimated to double every 100 days, and it's expected to increase by more than 1 million times over the next 5 years. Wren and his colleagues have predicted that global AI demand could be accountable for up to 6.6 billion cubic meters of water withdrawal by 2027. Remarkably, that would be roughly equivalent to the total annual water withdrawal of Washington state. Researchers say this is deeply concerning at a time of growing water scarcity. Alongside the urgent environmental risks, tension over the water usage of data centers and human needs has been at the heart of social problems across the globe. Following the protest in Uruguay over Google's plan to build a data center, the tech giant reportedly said the project was still at an exploratory phase and stressed that sustainability remained at the heart of its mission. It's thought social challenges such as this are likely to increase over the coming years, prompting many to ask what some of the solutions could be to meaningfully address big tech's growing water footprint.
This water is a shared challenge by all of us, so nobody can solve this issue without global efforts. So as a users, if let's say we're just doing some random stuff, we might want to avoid using generative AI because those are generally more resource consuming compared to a simple search. So there are a lot of ways individual users can contribute to the water usage saving. But the first step is that we need to be aware of this issue. We need to have the visibility of the water efficiency of the services.